A 9-year-old girl living on the streets entered a luxurious restaurant to ask for food. When the restaurant owner arrived, something incredible happened. On a bitter winter morning within the bustling city, Lucy stirred from her uncomfortable makeshift bed of cardboard. The frigid air gnawed at her fragile form. At merely 9 years old, she appeared even tinier, her gaunt frame and ragged attire offering scant defense against the biting cold. Slowly rising, she felt the dizziness induced by the ceaseless grip of hunger that plagued her every waking moment. 3 days had passed since her last meal. Scouring the nearby refuse in a desperate quest for sustenance, Lucy's hopes dwindled as she unearthed nothing but discarded cans, plastic remnants, and soiled scraps of paper. Disheartened, she began to wander aimlessly through the streets, her numb hands clasped together in a futile attempt to stave off the biting chill. Lucy was an orphan, her parents lost to a tragic accident when she was a mere 5 years old. Left in the care of a distant aunt who offered nothing but cruelty, Lucy had made the agonizing decision to flee and forge her own path on the unforgiving streets. Initially met with sporadic acts of kindness from compassionate souls, the passage of time had rendered her existence increasingly precarious. Surviving on meager gleanings from the refuse and resorting to theft in moments of dire need, Lucy clung to life amidst the relentless throes of hunger and deprivation. As she walked aimlessly, her vision blurred by fatigue and tears on the brink of falling, a delicious aroma reached her nose. It was the smell of hot, abundant food. Lucy looked around, searching for the source. It came from the slightly ajar door of an elegant restaurant across the street. She stood paralyzed for a moment, contemplating the place. The tables had white tablecloths, crystal glasses, and porcelain plates. The diners wore expensive suits. It was a world completely foreign to her miserable reality. Lucy's stomach growled loudly. The smell of sauce, grilled meat, and freshly baked bread seemed to mock her, reminding her of how long it had been since her last decent meal. She knew that was not a place for a ragged and dirty girl like herself. If she entered, she would surely be kicked out immediately, as had happened before. But hunger prevailed, and gathering courage, she crossed the street and entered the restaurant, head down. Inside, the atmosphere was even more impressive than what could be seen from outside. There were crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, embroidered tablecloths covering the tables, paintings and mirrors on the walls. The waiters were perfectly dressed in black and white. Lucy felt the stares of contempt piercing her, heard murmurs and expressions of disgust, but she swallowed her saliva and ignored it all, focusing only on the exquisite trays of food that some waiters were carrying. She slowly approached one of the occupied tables, where a family had just received their plates, and began to eat eagerly. The delicious smell of sauce and meat filled the place. When Lucy was just a few steps away, she gathered courage again and said in a hoarse voice trembling with fear and hunger, "Please, just a crumb of bread." The diners looked up at her, astonished. A woman let out a shriek of horror. "A filthy beggar asking for food! Someone get her out of here!" exclaimed a man with a look of disgust. Lucy felt tears filling her eyes. "Please, I'm very hungry," she pleaded with a lump in her throat. At that moment, a burly waiter quickly approached, grabbed her roughly by the arm, and began to drag her towards the exit. Lucy weakly resisted. "Let me go. Please. I need to eat." "Filthy girl, get out of here right now before I call the police," the waiter shouted disdainfully, pushing her out of the restaurant and closing the door behind her. Lucy stood crying inconsolably on the sidewalk, feeling the cold seeping into her bones and her stomach emptier than ever. Engulfed in misery, she had not noticed that the diners and waiters walked around her as if she were a disgusting obstacle. She looked up and, through tears, saw her small reflection in the glass door of the restaurant entrance. With her dirty clothes, haggard face, and frame skinny as a skeleton, she truly evoked pity and disgust. How could anyone help such a repulsive creature like her? She was about to leave, dragging her feet, when a luxurious black car stopped in front of the restaurant. Lucy felt curious when she saw an elegant man in a fine pinstripe suit and holding a black cane get out of the car. The driver stood at attention in front of him and opened the restaurant door wide. As he passed by the girl, the man stopped for a moment and looked at her curiously. then continued on his way into the restaurant. That second lasted an eternity for Lucy. The man's gaze was not one of disgust or rejection like the others. It was a warm, almost understanding look, as if he had glimpsed, in that brief moment, all the suffering contained in the fragile body of the girl. 5 or 10 minutes passed. Lucy's sobs turned into faint whispers as she remained curled up on the sidewalk, her face buried in her arms crossed over her knees. She no longer had the strength to cry. She remained there silently, feeling life slipping away little by little. Perhaps that dark alley next to the restaurant was not a bad place to die, she thought. After all, no one would care if that filthy girl disappeared from the face of the earth. With these last thoughts, she was about to surrender to the definitive sleep when she felt someone lifting her gently. Dazed, she looked up. There was that elegant man who had entered the restaurant moments before. He held her carefully in his arms, looking at her with compassion. "Poor little girl, you're as cold as ice. Don't worry, I'll take care of you from now on," he said with a warm and reassuring voice, cradling her against his chest to give her warmth. Lucy couldn't believe what was happening. Was this important man rescuing her? She felt it must be a dream or a fantasy created by her delirious mind. But the warmth of that embrace was very real, as was the exquisite imported perfume emanating from his well-kept white beard. For the first time in a long time, Lucy felt protected, contained, safe. With a sigh, she surrendered to exhaustion and fell deeply asleep, still in the arms of the kind man. Lucy's eyes filled with tears at these words. No one had ever spoken to her with such compassion and respect before. She couldn't even remember the last time someone had called her little instead of dirty. Mr. Nick sat on the edge of the bed and wiped away her tears with his silk handkerchief. "Don't cry, my child. That's all in the past now. You will live here with all the comforts. I'll have them prepare a hot bath for you, and then you'll join me for dinner. You must be very hungry after so many hours without food." Lucy's stomach growled loudly, as if to confirm his words. The girl blushed, embarrassed, but the man let out a cheerful laugh. "That's the sound I wanted to hear. Barbara, prepare a bath for our special guest, please, and bring clean clothes suitable for her." While the maid attended to her duties, Mr. Nick continued to ask Lucy gentle questions about her life. She briefly told him about her deceased parents, her aunt's abuse, her escape to the streets. The man listened with sympathy, running his hand over Lucy's head in a gentle caress. "Don't think about the past anymore, little one. You'll be protected and cared for here," Mr. Nick assured her. After a long, delicious bath scented with aromatic salts, Lucy dressed in a beautiful blue dress they had brought her. It was a bit big, but the fabric was very soft. She looked at herself in the mirror, surprised to see herself so changed, clean and tidy. She timidly descended the stairs to the restaurant's spacious and elegant dining room. There were several families and couples dining, but Mr. Nick was waiting for her at a special, secluded table. "Sit down, my child. I've prepared a very special menu for you," he said with a flourish, signaling one of the waiters to serve the dishes. First, they brought a hot vegetable soup, then steamed fish with golden potatoes, and for dessert, a cup of strawberry ice cream with whipped cream. Everything looked and smelled so delicious that Lucy felt like she was in heaven. "Do you like it, little one? Eat as much as you want. It's specially made to help you regain your strength." Lucy tasted the soup with a tiny spoon that she could barely hold in her weak fingers. She savored the hot broth slowly, feeling how it comforted her and restored her strength. Then she moved on to the fish and potatoes, finishing the plate completely. Finally, she enjoyed the exquisite strawberry ice cream melting in her mouth. Mr. Nick smiled with satisfaction as he watched her eat. "Sir, I don't know how to thank you for your kindness. No one has ever been so good to me before," she whispered. "You have nothing to thank me for, my child. Seeing those empty plates and some color on your cheeks is all the gratitude I need." After dinner, Lucy felt so comfortable that she feared it would all suddenly disappear. Mr. Nick seemed to sense her fear. "Don't worry, you're not going back to the streets. Stay here as long as you want. I've asked the waiters to prepare a room for you. You can consider it yours from now on." A warmth flooded Lucy's chest. Could it be possible that this kind stranger was really welcoming her into his own home? It was like hearing the fairy tale she had always longed for, but never believed possible for someone like her. The man stood up and extended his hand. Come, I'll introduce you to the staff. Together they toured the kitchen, where a dozen cooks and assistants moved back and forth frantically. Everyone looked at Lucy with curiosity. My friends, this little girl is called Lucy, and from now on she will live here. Treat her well and help her with whatever she needs. Lucy, if you're hungry or need anything, don't hesitate to ask anyone working in the restaurant, okay? Yes, yes, sir, stammered the blushing girl, feeling shy under so many eyes. They continued to a spacious hall where waiters and waitresses were coming in as their shifts ended. The introduction was repeated, and everyone seemed surprised to see a scrappy little girl transformed into a young lady in a silk dress. Once the introductions were over, Mr. Nick accompanied her to her new room. The exhaustion from the emotions of that night began to weigh on Lucy's eyelids. Rest well, my child. Tomorrow will be a new day. Barbara will be at your disposal if you need anything. Sleep tight, he said with extreme sweetness. The man helped Lucy lie down and tucked her in. Then on impulse, he planted a soft kiss on her forehead. It was the first show of affection Lucy could remember receiving in years, and tears welled up in her eyes as Mr. Nick left, turning off the lights. In the darkness, she hugged the pillow, feeling immense happiness flooding her entire body. The next morning, the intense light coming through the large windows slowly awakened Lucy. She sat up in the huge bed looking around. Could it have been just a dream? But no, it was real. She was in that splendid room, wearing a silk nightgown. How could such happiness be true? She jumped out of bed and ran to the wardrobe, where she saw dresses, hair ribbons, and the delicate scarlet slippers that Barbara, the maid, had left arranged for her. Lucy picked up a light yellow skirt with embroidered flowers and tried it on, dancing in front of the full-length mirror. It looked beautiful on her. Just then the door opened. It was Barbara with breakfast. Miss Lucy, I see you woke up with a lot of energy today. Mr. Nick asked me to bring you breakfast here in your room so you can eat quietly. He also told me that you should go to the restaurant's administration later to talk to him. Come, sit down. This is getting cold. Barbara arranged a tray with freshly squeezed juice, pancakes with honey, chocolate milk, and oatmeal cookies. Everything looked delicious, and Lucy ate eagerly under the pleased gaze of the woman. Once ready, she dressed and styled herself as best she could, then went down the central staircase to Mr. Nick's office. She timidly knocked on the door. Come in, came that warm voice from inside. The man greeted her with a radiant smile. Lucy sat down in front of the huge wooden desk. My child, I'm glad to see color in your cheeks today. I suppose you slept well and had breakfast. Yes, sir, everything was delicious. Thank you very much for your kindness. I don't know how I could ever repay you. I already told you, little one, that you have nothing to repay me for. I do it gladly. Now tell me, what would you like to do? We can go for a walk wherever you want, buy you new clothes or toys. I'd also like to take you to a doctor for a checkup to see how you're doing inside. Tell me what you want. Lucy felt overwhelmed. No one had ever given her so many options to choose from, and to be honest, all she wanted was to stay there forever, feeling protected and at peace. She told Mr. Nick as much, and he nodded in approval. Perfect. We'll take things at your pace, no pressure. Today, I'll tell Dr. Jeremy to come whenever he can to check on you, okay? The girl nodded. Then, the man excused himself, explaining he had administrative work to finish, but he told her she could explore the restaurant and gardens as much as she wanted. He gave her a kiss on the forehead and said goodbye until lunchtime. Thrilled by so much freedom, Lucy spent a wonderful morning wandering through the spacious, draped halls, carpeted corridors, and gleaming kitchen. Everyone was kind to her, even in the backyard garden, where the gardener, Andre, gave her a tiny rose bush to care for. Her own flowers. For the first time in a long time, Lucy felt completely happy. That afternoon after lunch, Lucy was happily watering her rose bush in the garden when she saw Mr. Nick approaching, accompanied by another man. My child, I want to introduce you to Dr. Jeremy. He's a good friend and has kindly agreed to give you a checkup to see how you're doing inside, Mr. Nick explained with a smile. Hello, Lucy. It's a pleasure to meet you. You can call me Uncle Gerard, as all the kids do. Mr. Nick has told me something about your story, a very sad one indeed. But let's not think about that anymore. Now you have a new life here, and we want you to be healthy and strong. Come, we'll go to the medical room to examine you." Lucy timidly shook hands with the doctor, a man in his 60s with little white hair on the sides and kind blue eyes that gave her confidence. She followed him and Mr. Nick down a hallway to a very clean, white room with a stretcher and various instruments. "Sit here, little one. I'll listen to your heart and lungs, take your blood pressure, weight and height, okay? It won't hurt at all. Don't be afraid." Dr. Jeremy was very kind throughout the examination, making funny remarks that made her laugh. He weighed her, measured her, listened to her heartbeat, and examined her eyes and ears. Mr. Nick observed everything from a corner, without intervening. "Very well, Lucy, we're done. You're very brave. Now let's talk a bit about the results," the doctor said, removing his stethoscope. The three of them sat around a small round table. "For having lived on the streets for almost a year, you're quite well, young lady. A bit underweight, a bit small, and slightly anemic, but that's normal due to malnutrition. You'll have to eat very well from now on. I'll also prescribe some vitamins. With good nutrition and regular medical attention, in a few months, you'll be perfect." Lucy smiled in relief. What the kind doctor said confirmed that her ordeal on the streets was over. Now there was only a bright future ahead. Mr. Nick also seemed calm with the diagnosis. "I'm glad to hear that, Gerard. Please come every 2 months for routine checkups. I'll personally make sure she eats well and leads a healthy life. Now, if you'll excuse us, I'd like to speak alone with the girl." "Of course, Anthony. We'll see you at dinner then. Goodbye, Lucy. Take care, and remember to take those vitamins." Once alone, Mr. Nick looked kindly at Lucy. "And how did you feel about the medical examination?" "Very good, sir. The doctor thinks I'm doing very well, and he's very nice. He said I should eat more and take some vitamins." "That's right. From now on, I want you to eat until you're completely full at every meal, no matter how much weight you gain. You need to regain weight and size, and we'll also take care of you so you don't get sick again." Lucy nodded. It was so unreal to hear someone speak with so much interest about her health and well-being. She felt a lump in her throat from emotion. "Sir, sorry for calling you that all the time. How would you like me to call you?" she asked timidly. "Oh, that's right. I completely forgot. You can call me Anthony. That's my name," he replied amiably. "All right, Anthony," said the girl, savoring that uncommon name. "Thank you very much for everything you do for me. But why? I mean, I'm a stranger, a beggar. Why do you care so much?" The man took a moment before responding, seeming to search for the right words. "You see, Lucy, 35 years ago, I was like you," he said finally, lost in memories. "My parents were very poor and couldn't support me," Mr. Nick began, his voice soft with the weight of memory. "At only 6 years old, I ended up living on the streets, stealing food from trash cans, begging for alms. It was very hard, and I really suffered during that time. Until one day when I was about 10 years old, a wealthy family leaving a restaurant saw me scavenging for scraps among the garbage cans. They took pity on me. They brought me to their home, gave me a bath, clean clothes, and a good dinner. That night, for the first time in years, I slept in a soft, warm bed." He paused, his eyes filling with tears. "The next day, they decided to legally adopt me. They gave me their last name, paid for my education, and raised me as one of their own, among their other 2 children. Thanks to them, I was able to move forward, educate myself, and build a life and career. I wouldn't be where I am today without their kindness." Lucy looked at him, astonished and deeply moved. "That's why when I saw you lying on the sidewalk, dirty, hungry, frail, I relived my own story," he continued, his voice trembling. "I felt it was my duty to give you the same opportunity that was given to me. You, more than anyone, deserve to enjoy a good life after so much suffering at such a young age. It's the least I can do to repay the kindness I received." Mr. Nick's voice broke, and he began to cry, overwhelmed by his memories. Without thinking, Lucy got up and hugged him tightly, her arms wrapped around his shoulders in a gesture of love and gratitude. The man responded, his hand gently stroking her hair as he whispered, Thank you. Thank you for saving me," between her own quiet tears. They remained embraced until the emotion of the moment settled. Then, Mr. Nick knelt down to look her in the eyes, taking her by the shoulders. "Lucy, after hearing the doctor's opinion that you're doing well, and after telling you my story, I want to make a proposal." He spoke with a solemn tenderness. "You're no longer a stranger to me. In this short time, I've grown very fond of you. You're a special girl. So I want to ask you formally, would you like to stay here forever? What would you say if I proposed to legally adopt you as my daughter?" Lucy's eyes widened, shocked. Had she heard correctly? His daughter? Did he want to adopt her? "That's right, little one," he said gently. "I've grown very fond of you in just a few days. You're kind, affectionate, and polite. I think you'd be a wonderful daughter. I have no family or children of my own. I live alone in this huge house. It would make me very happy to give you my last name, to care for you, and to watch you grow up healthy and happy. Of course, if you agree. If you'd like the idea of having a home and a father." Lucy was speechless. Did this kind, wealthy man really want to make her his daughter? To give her his last name? To make her heir to everything he had? It was too incredible. 1,000 emotions bubbled in her heart, and she threw herself into Mr. Nick's arms again, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes, yes, of course I want to. I'd love for you to be my father. Oh, it's like a dream. Finally, a family, a dad, a home. Thank you so much. Thank you." "No, my girl," he laughed, his own eyes misty with joy. "Thank you for accepting me. Come on, don't cry anymore. We have a lot to celebrate. Tonight we'll have a toast to celebrate that you'll be my daughter." The rest of the day flew by in a whirlwind of joy. Lucy floated on a cloud of happiness. She finally had a father and a bright future ahead. Mr. Nick, her new father, as she now thought of him, took her to his private office and introduced her to everyone as his future adopted daughter. He called his lawyer to arrange the adoption paperwork, and later the maids helped her try on elegant new dresses, shoes, and hair ribbons. Mr. Nick excitedly shared that his two nephews, Paul and Marie, who lived in the countryside but spent holidays with him, would be arriving the next day. "They'll be something like your new cousins," he said, smiling. By nightfall, Lucy felt like a true princess. She wore a soft pink dress, embroidered ribbons in her hair, and tiny pearl earrings her new father had given her. Mr. Nick wore a spectacular black suit with a bow tie for the occasion. They toasted with cider. Mr. Nick considered her too young for champagne and enjoyed a beautiful heart-shaped chocolate cake specially prepared for her. The waiters and restaurant staff, excited by the news, congratulated her and told her how lucky she was. Even the elegant, regular customers approached to greet her warmly upon hearing the news. That night, after Mr. Nick tucked her in with a kiss on the cheek, Lucy lay awake for a long time, listening to the soft, live piano music drifting from the restaurant. She stared at the ceiling in the darkness, still not fully believing everything she was experiencing. She had gone from being a little beggar with no future to having a family, nice clothes, all the comforts she could imagine, and a father who adored her. She fell asleep with a smile, thinking about meeting her new cousins the next day. Her life of happiness was just beginning. The next morning, Barbara woke her with a warm smile. "Little Lucy, get up quickly. Your new cousins have arrived, and they're eager to meet you. They're waiting downstairs to have breakfast together." Lucy jumped up in excitement. She would finally have something like siblings to share her days with. She dressed hastily, choosing an aqua green dress with ruffles that her father had specially made for her. After brushing her blonde hair as the maids had taught her, she ran down the imposing staircase toward the dining room. Through the partially open doors, she could hear cheerful, youthful laughter. Butterflies fluttered in her stomach from a mix of nervousness and excitement. Would her new cousins like her? Taking a deep breath, she gently pushed open the carved oak door and entered the spacious oval hall. Her father was already seated at the head of the large table, impeccably dressed in a suit and tie. On his left was a young man with chestnut hair and bright green eyes, speaking animatedly about horses. Across from him, a girl with long golden hair parted in the middle laughed at something he said. Upon noticing Lucy, Mr. Nick quickly stood up, his face lighting up with a radiant smile. "Lucy, my girl, come in. Don't be shy. Come meet your cousins." With shy steps, Lucy approached. Both teenagers looked up, their faces breaking into friendly smiles. "Paul, Marie," Mr. Nick announced with pride, "I'm proud to introduce you to Lucy, my adopted daughter. Lucy, these are my dear nephews, Paul and Marie. They'll be staying here all summer, so you'll have plenty of time to get to know each other and become friends," Mr. Nick said warmly. Marie stood up and walked gracefully toward Lucy, as if gliding. She enveloped her in a delicate, perfumed hug. "Welcome to the family, little Lucy. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you. My uncle has talked so much about you in his letters that I feel like we've been friends forever." Paul stepped forward next, greeting her with a brief hug and a playful bow. "It's a pleasure to meet our new cousin. You can count on me for anything you need. If anyone makes you feel bad, just let me know, and I'll take care of it." Everyone chuckled at his remark, the atmosphere warm and friendly. They then sat down at the table, where a sumptuous breakfast awaited them: juices, fruits, tortillas, jams, and freshly brewed tea. Lucy felt like she was in heaven, feeling naturally incorporated into this beautiful family. As they ate, Paul and Marie asked her curious questions about her life and how she had met her new father, and if she liked her new home. Lucy answered enthusiastically, and both teenagers seemed delighted with her. "So when I left the restaurant that night, smelling the aroma of dinner, I found Lucy passed out on the sidewalk. She was skin and bones, all tattered. It broke my heart to see her like that, so frail and defenseless. I didn't hesitate to pick her up and bring her in to take care of her. Since then, we've grown very close, and I decided to adopt her as my daughter as soon as the doctor confirmed she was healthy," Mr. Nick recounted, gently caressing Lucy's hand on the table. "It's a truly touching story, Uncle. You did the right thing. Lucy deserves to be happy after so much suffering. Seeing her today, so beautiful, clean, and smiling, proves that it was the best decision," Marie said sweetly. "That's right, Uncle Anthony. You can count on us to help her feel at home and welcome in the family, right, Lucy?" Paul added, giving her a friendly wink. Lucy felt radiant, embraced by this newfound love and warmth. After breakfast, Paul and Marie got up from the table. "If you'll excuse us, Uncle, we'd like to take our new cousin to explore the estate and get familiar with the grounds. We also want to show her some of the old secret passages we discovered as kids." "We'll be back for lunch," Paul said, taking Lucy's hand as they headed outside. Through the kitchen door, the spacious gardens seemed even more splendid that morning, with the night dew still fresh on the leaves. A stone path led to the stables, located behind a small pine forest on the property. Paul led the way, followed by Lucy and Marie, who chatted animatedly. "Over there is the gardener's house," Marie pointed out, indicating a humble but neat gray cottage with vines climbing the walls. "You probably know him by sight. Mr. Andre works wonders in the garden." As they passed by, they spotted the old man watering his beloved hydrangeas. He raised a hand to greet them warmly. "Good day, youngsters. I see you're bringing a new little friend," he said with a benevolent smile. After briefly introducing Lucy, they continued on, commenting on how pleasant the gardener was. They soon arrived at the stables, an enormous structure with at least 30 beautiful thoroughbred horses in spacious wooden stalls. Several young girls in riding gear were feeding carrots and sugar cubes to the horses or grooming their glossy manes. "They're students from Mrs. Margot's riding academy," Paul explained. "They take classes here twice a week with the best horses." He stroked the nose of an imposing white stallion and suggested Lucy take a ride around the jumping track to watch the students. Lucy was thrilled with the idea. She enjoyed watching the young ladies elegantly riding in their attire, with riding dresses, high boots, and shiny hats. After the ride, they began their walk back to the house for lunch. Marie held Lucy back for a moment, asking her to walk a little behind Paul. When Paul was far enough ahead, Marie led her to a patch of grass that looked identical to the rest. She stepped on some precise points, and to Lucy's surprise, a camouflage passage opened in the wall, wide enough for a slim person to pass through. "This is one of the secret passages that connects the main house to the grounds. I discovered it when I was about 8, playing hide and seek with Paul. Look inside. It's full of cobwebs, but it leads all the way to the wine cellar in the basement," Marie whispered. Lucy was fascinated, peeking inside with a torch. She couldn't believe there were hidden paths connecting the rooms. She imagined playing hide and seek and surprising everyone from inside a wardrobe or behind a painting. Marie showed her two more entrances, one behind a Greek statue in the central hall and another under a carpet on the second floor. Don't tell anyone about this. Only Paul and I know some of these passages. They can be our secret, for when you want to explore or hide if you're bored, Marie said with a mischievous smile. Lucy felt thrilled and proud to share a secret with her older cousins. It made her feel like part of the group. As they returned to the dining room for lunch, a commotion from the kitchen caught their attention. Peeking in, they saw the cook, Miss Jeff, shouting furiously at the youngest assistant, Jean, who was on the floor, trying to contain the bleeding from a deep cut on his hand. "You're useless, John. Look at the mess you've made. You ruined the sauce I worked on for 2 hours, and on top of that, you cut yourself out of clumsiness," Miss Jeff shouted, her face red with anger, while everyone watched in astonishment, too afraid to intervene. Finally, when the blood had formed a small puddle on the floor, the steward stepped forward. "Excuse me, Miss Jeff, but we need to attend to the boy's wound. He's losing a lot of blood. It could be serious." "I'll call Dr. Jeremy to come urgently," he said, leading Jean away to treat him, receiving another round of shouts from the temperamental chef. The mood was subdued during lunch. With John out of the kitchen, the food was served cold, and the dessert remained unfinished. Mr. Nick, out of respect for the chef, refrained from commenting, but everyone noticed his displeasure. After breakfast, Paul suggested taking Lucy to explore the estate. She eagerly agreed, grateful to escape the tension after the incident with Miss Jeff, who had lost her temper with a kitchen assistant, Jean. Paul and Marie took Lucy through the lush gardens, down gravel paths lined with fragrant flowers and towering trees. As they strolled, Paul pointed out various types of trees and birds, eager to share his love of nature. In the nearby grove, something shiny caught their attention. As they approached, they found a tiny, well-kept hut with a thatched roof and a charming little door and window. Peering inside, they saw a table with a cloth, a vase of fresh flowers, and shelves with books and trinkets. Lucy's eyes widened in wonder. "What is this place?" Paul grinned, recalling memories. "This was our playhouse as kids. Uncle had it built for Marie and me to play in. We'd have tea parties here with our teddy bears. I'd nearly forgotten it existed." They sat on a stone bench nearby, admiring the little hut hidden among the pines. Paul suddenly had an idea. "If you promise not to tell anyone, we could fix it up and bring it back to life. It would be so fun to have our own little hideaway." Lucy nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, I'd love that. Maybe we can ask Mr. Andre to help trim the plants around it too." They spent the walk back joyfully planning the playhouse renovation. On the way, Paul shared how, after their parents had passed in a car accident, he and Marie now spent most of the year at boarding school while their uncle managed the family estate. "That's why summers here are so special. We feel free to explore, and with you here, it'll be even better. I've always wanted a little sister." Lucy felt her heart swell. The idea of having siblings who loved her was more than she'd ever dreamed. That afternoon, Marie suggested they play dress-up with old hats and jewelry from their Aunt Sophia's collection. Amid laughter, they climbed to the attic, where Paul found 2 trunks filled with antique dresses, lace parasols, and feathered hats. They tried on elegant gowns, laughing as they lifted the long skirts to avoid tripping. Paul donned a captain's hat and pretended to be a marshal, while Marie applied exaggerated makeup with powders and eyeshadow. Their fun was interrupted when a maid passed by, letting out a horrified scream. "Children, look at this mess. You've dirtied Aunt Sophia's costumes and the floor. Go clean up right away." Embarrassed but still laughing, they complied, giggling about the maid's reaction as they washed up. The next morning, Lucy woke with a twinge of anxiety after a bad dream in which Mr. Nick decided he didn't want her as his daughter anymore. Needing reassurance, she hurried to his office. Mr. Nick looked up from his desk, smiling as she entered. "Good morning, Lucy. What a lovely surprise. Come in and sit with me. Is something bothering you?" he asked gently. With nervous hands twisting her dress, Lucy finally managed, I had a terrible dream that you didn't want me as your daughter anymore, and that you'd send me back to the streets." Mr. Nick's face softened. He quickly knelt beside her, taking her hands. Oh, my little girl, I'm so sorry you felt that way. But listen to me. Nothing could be further from the truth. You are my daughter now and forever, and this is your home. No one will ever make you leave. You're safe with me. Lucy hugged him tightly, tears spilling down her cheeks. Her father stroked her hair gently. There, no need to cry. Let's have breakfast, and then you can get ready for a special day. Your cousins have planned a picnic by the lake, and I know you'll enjoy it. Relieved and excited, Lucy dressed in a pretty blue dress with a matching ribbon. She kissed her father on the cheek and hurried to meet her cousins at the gazebo. Paul and Marie greeted her, Paul holding a large wicker basket filled with sweet and savory treats, while Marie carried a cooler and a huge striped beach umbrella. Beautiful Lucy, ready for a countryside picnic? Marie beamed. The kitchen prepared sandwiches, pastries, lemon pie, and look at this checkered tablecloth. It'll be perfect by the lake. Laughing, they walked along the green path toward the lake, singing cheerful songs. When they arrived, they sat up under an old oak tree, enchanted by the beauty of the scene. The lake's crystal-clear water sparkled in the sunlight, reflecting the surrounding trees. A gentle breeze stirred the reeds, inviting them to dip their feet in the cool water. Paul suddenly shouted, "Last one in is a rotten egg," as he sprinted toward the water, pulling off his shoes as he ran. And so ends this beautiful story.
Hey, wait a second. You're really about to leave without subscribing? That's just cruel. Look, I may not have magical powers, but every new subscriber gives me superpowers of happiness. And the like button, that's like fries with a burger. Essential. So here's the deal. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell too. So the next time I upload, your phone goes, ding, it's time for awesomeness. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, show some love. If you didn't, show even more love by dropping a comment. Catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourself. And this channel too. Today we're going to share with you the keys to a happy life. Be thankful. Gratitude. Every morning when your eyes open, thank God. No matter how small your blessing be, if you still get breath for body, food for table, and family around you, you're already rich. Grateful heart they bring peace, and peace na the root of happiness. Treat people well. Good behavior. Treat people with respect. Talk to others the way you go want, make them talk to you. If you show kindness, it go come back to you. Smile at somebody, help your neighbor. Share if you get. It no cost you anything, but it dey bless your soul. Good character na real wealth for this world. Take care of your body and mind. Health. No forget your body na your engine. If you no take care of how you go move. Eat clean, drink water, rest well, and move your body small every day. And not only your body, your mind too. If something they worry you, talk to someone. Pray, meditate. Peace of mind na serious blessing. Live with purpose, motive, and vision. No just live anyhow. Find what they give you meaning. Whether not to raise your children well, build your small business, or help your community, just get one reason to wake up every day. Purpose na like fire inside body. If you get you go shine no matter the darkness. Respect and hold your relationships, family, and community. Money they come and go. Work fit end. But people way love you. They're the true blessings. Call your mama, hug your papa, greet your friend. No keep malice, forgive. Because at the end, the love and connection, they give life real joy.